Hello! Thank you so much for volunteering with OKSO. We're excited that you're here and we're dedicated to doing everything we can to make sure you have an awesome experience. In the next few minutes, we'll go over getting started with OKSO, OKSO's value and philosophy around answering questions, our follow-up feature, and dealing with difficult situations. So let's talk about getting started. Hopefully you've already downloaded OKSO from the Apple Store. Once you open the app, go to Sign Up and create a new account. Then find your way to the Experts tab. Once you're there, follow the process to apply to be an expert. When we get your application, we'll link it with the info you already gave us and set up your account. When it's ready, your Expert tab will change so that it looks like it does now, and you'll start receiving questions. This is what users will see for your profile. Users are anonymous to you, but they'll be able to see your name, photo, and the short bio you wrote. As time goes on, we hope to expand your profile options more and give you more control over it. Now let's talk about how to answer a question. Right now, we don't have our ideal setup for question notifications and answering questions. We are definitely a work in progress and hope to improve how this works as soon as we can. In the meantime, we recommend turning on push notifications so that you'll know when there's traffic on OKSO. When you open your inbox, any thread with any new activity will be at the top. This could be a question that another expert has responded to. Again, not ideal, we know. If you see a question that has a circle and an avatar, that's a thread with a new question from a user or a new follow-up from a user. Either way, open those first. You might need to scroll down a bit to find one, depending on the day. Tap on the question, read it, and see if it's something you feel comfortable responding to. If so, type in your response and send it off. Keep in mind that the way notifications work right now, every time you hit send, a notification goes out. So we recommend doing multiple paragraphs instead of multiple messages if you're sending something longer. If other experts have responded, feel free to add your voice. Piggyback off of them, add a different perspective. Users have told us they really like knowing more than one person cares. We ask that you give 15 minutes a day. This can all be in one sitting or broken up throughout your day when you have a few minutes, whatever works best for you. If you aren't active regularly, we may remove you as an expert. That's really it for now. It's pretty simple. So, on to our philosophy around answering questions. At OKSO, we're doing many of the same things that you are already doing when you're talking to folks about these issues, but there are a few things we want to highlight that are especially important for the experience we want users to have. At the core of what we want users to experience is that we are real. We're not a list of Google search results. We're not a bot spewing out the same thing every time. We're not an advice column broadcasting into the void. We're real, and we're talking to real people. Here are the main things we want users to get from their experience with OKSO. Support and empathy is key. We believe that information delivered without this will never have the same kind of impact. Imagine a user who is scared to ask us a question, but they work up their courage and hit send. Or they're just really scared about whatever it is that's happening. What do they need? One thing we can do is let them know we're glad they asked. We can also reflect the emotions we're reading and try to name some of those. We could also normalize, normalize, normalize. Before you jump into information, try to write even one sentence that connects you to the user in some way. When we get this right, users feel taken care of in a way that is so beautiful. Of course, we're not just about empathy, we also want to give people accurate and comprehensive information, but this is texting, and you have a team. This means you can prioritize asking follow-up questions. If you find yourself writing, "I'm not really sure what you mean by that, but could be this or it could be this," ask them for more information instead. You also don't have to give the whole answer. Another expert can piggyback off of you. Think shorter and more concise. If you find yourself thinking, "Oh man, I'm really going to have to think about this one, so I'll answer it later," is there something that you can say right now in 1 to 2 sentences that would help? Users love getting an answer faster. We also want users to feel really safe. We're here for everyone, and we want everyone to feel welcome. We want to strive to use open and inclusive language at all times. Our goal is to meet the user where they are and help them get to wherever they want to go. As an expert, you won't know anything about a user except what they tell you. We don't want to assume someone's age, gender, sexual orientation, experience, race or ethnicity, location, etc. General, neutral language is really helpful here until a user gives you more information. Lastly, we want to be real people. If we've been doing this professionally for a long time, it can be hard to get out of that mode, but the sweet spot is somewhere between how you might respond at work and how you might respond if you were texting with your best friend. Feel free to use more informal language. Use emojis, abbreviations, be excited about things, show emotion. You can share personal details if you feel comfortable. If the question feels hard for you to answer, you can say that. If you loved your IUD, you can share that. You don't have to be completely anonymous. Those are the basics of answering questions on OKSO. Now let's talk about following up. A week after you answer a user's question, they'll show up in your list of people to follow up with. This is located in the Expert tab. You'll see the questions that a user has asked. Not every question needs a follow-up, but some definitely do. When you're following up, the most important thing is to make sure you're not putting too much pressure on someone to have actually done the thing that you talked with them about. Maybe they asked about having a conversation with their boyfriend about open relationships. We want to make sure they know it's okay if they haven't had that conversation yet, but users love the idea that we're still thinking about them and care enough to follow up. All right, now let's talk about some difficult situations. If there's something wrong with the app, please take a screenshot of it and email the screenshot and a description of what's happening to support@OKSO. Sometimes experts are going to disagree. We'd actually like you to go ahead and disagree on the thread. Users don't find this upsetting generally. They actually like seeing different perspectives, and it weirds them out when we all say exactly the same thing. If it's something major, like misinformation that could cause a health problem, please contact me as soon as possible so I can follow up with that expert individually. It seems pretty inevitable that we will have users who test us by misbehaving, and in fact we already have. If this happens, you can respond yourself using the language that's here, or reach out to me and I'm happy to do it. We've found that probably 90% of users who do this do actually have a question if we can stick with them. We also have community guidelines, and you can see an overview of them here. In the interest of getting people to actually read them, we haven't spelled out exactly which behaviors are not okay, but we hope we've given folks enough detail to understand how we're asking them to behave. Probably the biggest concern is what to do if a user is having an emergency. This could be someone who discloses abuse or who is in an unsafe situation, someone who's a danger to themselves or others, or is having a medical emergency. We are not emergency services, and we make this very clear. Additionally, all users should be 18 plus. If they're younger, then that means they've lied to us about their age, and it still can happen, but it means we don't have to worry quite as much about mandated reporting or other minor laws. If you encounter one of these situations, you can let me know immediately. We're always going to refer that person to the appropriate crisis services. If you want to take the lead on that, I'm happy to support you, but I'm also happy to do it myself in sort of an official I work at OKSO type of capacity. We also have an expert manual with tons of resources for both this and everything we're talking about today, so we highly recommend that you read that as well. There's more information, as I said, but I'm always available if there's something that sends up a red flag and you aren't sure how to handle it or don't want to be responsible for handling it. Lastly, this probably goes without saying, but remember that although users are anonymous, they probably don't want their question out there unless they gave us permission, so please don't share your conversations publicly. Before we wrap up, there's one last thing I wanted to mention. You are joining a community of amazing experts, and we are working on ways to help you all get connected to each other. We're going to have regular online hangouts for experts that might include skill shares or workshops if folks are interested. They say if you're not embarrassed by the product you launch with, you've waited too long. So here we are. We know that there are tons of things we can do to improve OKSO, but we also wanted to get it out into the world and get people using it. We welcome your thoughts, suggestions, and feedback. Please share the good and the bad. And lastly, thank you. Thank you for your time and wisdom and expertise. Thank you for your compassion and your generosity. Thank you for wanting to help others. Thank you for being a part of OKSO. We are so excited to have you.